Hey guys, what's up? Inferno from Dragonic Empire here with another deck profile for you. This is of a set 15 deck, which I have been eagerly awaiting, I suppose, or certain cards from the set I've been eagerly awaiting, but managed to get my hands on them, so I put the deck together. So this is the Dragonic Overlord the Rebirth deck. Yeah, he's a pretty good card. He's alright. For those of you who don't know what he does, Limit Break 4, Counterblast 1, lock up to 5 of your own rearguards, and if 5 of your rearguards are locked, at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you can ditch 2 cards from your hand and he can stand back up. So yeah, get in. Oh, and he gains plus 10,000 power. So if you are cross-ridden, he will be swinging at least 23 base both times, which is pretty good. And if you're not cross-ridden, he still hits 21 base. Both attacks. So yeah, he's an alright card. I don't know. Apart from Glendios, against Glendios he's pretty suicidal, but you don't need to use the effect obviously. So we are running 4 copies of that. So he is your finisher of the deck. So he's the new cross ride for Dragonic Overlord, and yeah, the artwork looks really good. I do like the artwork of this guy. I do like the artwork of the end too, but the end was very close up. But this guy you get to see like pretty much like the whole body, which is pretty cool. On to our next grade 3. Well, this is the card from the set that I really wanted, because I got to use it with my end deck, and that is the Dragonic Overlord Break Ride. So yeah, he's been upgraded, thanks to Link Joker, into a Break Ride unit. So what his Break Ride skill is he grants the obligatory 10,000 power, and the skill of when the broke-ridden unit, so if you break ride the rebirth on top of him, say, the rebirth gains plus 10,000 power, and the skill that when it attacks a rearguard, you can counterblast 1, discard 1 card from your hand, and you get to stand it back up. So the attack on the rearguard doesn't have to hit, but the condition is you attack a rearguard and you get to stand back up. So if you broke ride the rebirth, you can get a max of 3 attacks, with 3 Vanguard attacks in that turn, which is pretty cool. And of course, with him in the soul, he gives the end and the rebirth plus 2,000 power, so they are on cross-ridden bases of 13k, which is, yeah, pretty good. On to our grade 2s, the new Overlord Retire engine, so we don't have Berserk Dragons anymore. We have Dragonic Burnout, so play 4 copies of that. For those of you who don't know what he does, Soul Blast 1, return 1 Overlord card to the bottom of the deck, and you get to retire anything on your opponent's side of the field. So yeah, pretty cheap cost, but it does require you to have an Overlord in the drop zone to use to retire. The condition is that your Vanguard must be Kagero, and whenever this is called to a rearguard circle, you can Soul Blast 1, return an Overlord to the bottom of the deck, and retire something. But this is a rearguard only skill, so you can't retire on the Vanguard circle like you could with Berserk Dragon. But yeah, there's no counterblast costs for this guy, which makes him really useful. So yeah, he's a good card for the Overlords. Next card, I am running 4 Burning Horn Dragon, the 12k attacker, when you have an Overlord Vanguard. So yeah, play 4 of them because you want to be able to hit without boosts for the most part, until late game anyway. And the last grade 2 of the deck, I am running 3 Nahalem, just 10k grade 2. The only reason why I'm running it is to be a defensive Vanguard ride, and that's purely it. If I don't hit him on the Vanguard ride, then he's still a decent rearguard. But in terms of this deck, you don't counterblast too much. It's like counterblast 1, so you can run Bellicosti over it, but because I don't find myself counterblasting too much, then I don't feel a need for Bellicosti in this. So yeah, Nahalem's good for that defensive ride purpose, and he's a decent rearguard too, so you can't really complain about him. Grade 1s, I'm running 4 Eternal Bringer Griffin. What this thing does is, whenever you call it to the rearguard circle, you can discard a grade 3 Kagero unit from your hand and search for Dragonic Overlord. So yeah, it sets you up for the break ride, essentially, which is pretty good. And it also sets up the burning horn, the burnout, because you discard a Kagero grade 3, and all the Kagero grade 3s are Overlord units, which means that there will be an Overlord in drop zone, which means you can get a retire out of it, which is pretty useful as well. So yeah, he's a dual utility card, and he's a 7k booster as well, so he's pretty good, and it thins out the deck, so he does a lot for this deck anyway. Next grade 1, for Dragonmon Gojo, just the filter of the deck, so the old school tap, drop and draw, instead of the call, meter condition, drop and draw. So he can always drop and draw no matter what stage you are in the game. And plus it's pretty useful in terms of being on the rebirth, because you can drop and draw and then lock him, so you don't actually lose a booster, you just get a free drop and draw, which is pretty useful. And yeah, he helps with consistency issues. And a 7k booster, so can't complain. Next grade 1, 1, 2, 3, Wyvern Guard Barry. Yeah, Perfect Guard. The old school Perfect Guard, all the way back from set 1. Remember, we didn't have a gold shield there. That's really weird to see it like that now, but yeah, this was a standard Kagero Perfect Guard back in the day. And one Quintet Wall, which I'm just testing out, because yeah, the one card in your hand can save your butt when you've got one Counter Blast open, that is. So yeah, this ratio is kind of what I'd go for if I were to use Quintet Wall, so I'm definitely trying it out. But at the same time, I do find myself preferring to have 4 Perfect Guards at some points, and preferring to have 1 Quintet Wall at some points. So there's never like a consistent stage where I like having Quintet Walls in the deck, which is strange, but it does work. I'm not saying it doesn't, it doesn't feel right sometimes. Like sometimes you'll have a Perfect Guard, well, sometimes you have a Quintet Wall with absolutely huge hand, so you really would rather have a Perfect Guard instead of a Quintet Wall in your hand. And sometimes you've got a Perfect Guard in your hand when you don't have many cards in your hand, and you'd rather have a Quintet Wall to help you save on the cards in your hand. So yeah, they've got their uses, but the timing of when you see them can be quite awkward sometimes. So yeah, definitely try Quintet Walls out. If they're not for you, they're not for you, but I will definitely give them a try because they're relatively inexpensive. And the last grade 1 of the deck, I'm running 2 bar, just an 8k vanilla. Good card. Can't really fault 8k vanillas. They are good for helping setting up columns, so you can set up good columns. So you can easily set up an 18k column with Nahalem and stuff like that. So yeah, and good defensive ride too. So can't really fault them that much. Onto my trigger lineup for the Rebirth deck. We have 4 Blu-ray Draco Kid, 4 Embodiment of Spear Tar, so that's 8 critical. 2 Gatling Claw Dragon, which is a pretty good utility card for Kagero in terms of getting rid of that annoying grade 0. So that's 2 draw, and another 2 draw in the form of Steel Dragon Art Pick. So I find him useful in terms of the Rebirths effect, where you need to lock 5 to use his skill, but you might not necessarily have 5 decent cards to play to the field, so you can play him to the field and lock 5 and then use the Rebirth skill, and if you draw something better to replace him with, say like a grade 2 or something, you can push him into Soul, give the Rebirth another 3000 power, and yeah, he can swing away again. So the Steel Dragon's not bad for helping you set up the numbers where you can plus 3k to a column. So yeah, that's pretty good. And of course, the last trigger of the deck, we are playing 4 heals in the form of Dragon Dancer Theresa. So yeah, you standard trigger lineup of 844. You can run 12 crits in this deck, so you can put out maximum pressure. But I do like having draws because they help keep your hand size to a sustainable amount. So I am still running draws, but you can run crits if you want to. I'm not stopping you. And of course, the starter, I am running Red Pulse Draco Kid because Conroe is banned. Cry. I mean, there's not many other options you can run. He's just Red Pulse is the standard grade 3 searcher, so it's definitely good in cross-ride decks. And yeah, we have been given some alternatives, I suppose. You can run I don't know what his name is. See if I can find him. You can run Dragonic Overlord, which when you retire something, you can push him into Soul, and retire, and your opponent chooses something else to retire, which is fine, I suppose. Or you can run Lizard Soldier Fargo, which I think was the intended starter for Overlords when the set 15 got released. But let's see if you can focus camera. There we go. No, there we go. So what this one does is you can push him into the Soul, choose your Vanguard with Overlord in its card name until the end of the turn. It gets the effect that when this unit attack hits, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So he's not bad. See if we can get it back to focus. There we go. He's not bad in terms of the rebirth, because if one of those attacks hits, you get to retire something, and if you cross Break Ride and you attack the rear guard, they're very unlikely to guard it. So yeah, you can get a free retire from that too, I suppose. But Red Pulse I find to be pretty consistent in terms of searching out the grade 3, getting the cross ride set up and whatnot. So yeah, I prefer Red Pulse, but you can run either of these two if you want. You can't run Conroe, unfortunately. But what can you do? Conroe made the decks too consistent, especially Vague. So yeah, that was my Dragonic Overlord the Rebirth deck. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.